Good evening and welcome to Batterdays in the Batcave. It's Batman Day. Happy Batman Day to my Minister of Comics, Taylor Brown. How's it going, buddy?
I'm doing great, and I'm really excited to celebrate Batman Day with you and everybody else in the chat. We may look really smart in us picking our favorite Batman moments and memories for Batman Day. It was purely an accident that worked out really well in our favor.
What are you telling him that for? Oh, jeez.
Just trying to be transparent.
Like that. We're supposed to look like programming geniuses.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. It was totally planned since last year, guys.
Okay, good. That's much better.
Yes.
And I'm OmniDog, your host from OmniDog's Vault, which is a YouTube show. I also have Instagram, OmniDogs_Vault, which I need to update. It hasn't been updated recently. And today is Batman Day, and we had planned to do Batman favorite memories and moments throughout our lifetimes. So, right, Jesse Christian, it's story time with Jess. That's right.
And I think our memories will be a lot different because Jess has been around a lot longer than I have. So
yeah,
we both have a different perspective.
Here's Avi from the UK. Hey, Avi.
And Streakazoid made it. He said he doesn't really make it that often, so it's great to have you here.
Where are you, Streak? There's Streakazoid. Hey, Streak, how's it going? And Abby Keating, how you doing, buddy? True graphic novel fan. Happy Batman Day. And Joe Jenkins. Whoop. True graphic novel. I already got you. Sorry. Joe Jenkins.
Streakazoid's latest comment was interesting.
Yoink. I just got back from my parents. They actually live in a village called Gotham. Is there somebody trying to blow it up every day? Poison the water or destroy it? The more Batman I read, the more I'm trying to figure out what's so great about Gotham or bad about Gotham that everybody's trying to destroy it. That's like every storyline.
That's true for every single DC city, like Metropolis. There's always something bad going on there too. Even though it's nicer and not as crime ridden, there's Star City. There's all the other different cities. I feel like there's always going to be something going on.
I think Gotham. People want to blow up Gotham more.
That's true.
It feels like since we started the show, I'm reading more Batman than ever. But it seems like every villain wants to destroy Gotham. And I'm like, why? What's your end game there? Why do you want to destroy Gotham? If you're a villain, well, I guess if you want to kill a bunch of people, I'm not thinking, okay, wait, think like a villain. I want to kill a lot of people. Okay, so I'll try to kill Gotham. And then what are you going to do?
Well, the thing is, that's always really interesting to me is that it's like if once you've gone through one of these cataclysmic events, why wouldn't you just move away? Like, why would you be, I'm just going to stick around, even a couple of them. And it's like, I think 2020 has showed us that we couldn't survive in a place like Gotham. Having to go through the pandemic and COVID has already been frustrating enough. Imagine like another nerve gas attack from the Joker or another wind up penguin carrying missiles from the Penguin. We won't be able to survive.
Bridges that link us to civilization blowing up.
We're too brittle to be able to survive in Gotham.
Yeah, no way.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
Streakazoid says that it's actually peaceful. Well, that's good. I'm glad your parents live in a peaceful place. Happy Batman Day to Lloyd Wong.
And guys, let us know.
My favorite Batman memory is when that rich dude dresses up like a bat to assault people.
That is the best part about Batman. And everybody, let us know how you've been celebrating Batman Day. I just got in a Hamilton book haul, and I got in Batman Gothic by Grant Morrison, which I've never read. I'm 3 issues into that, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I heard some mixed things, but so far it's one of the more accessible Grant Morrison books I've ever read. Usually it takes a PhD in comics or some kind of other book alongside of a Grant Morrison comic to really understand it, but it's really simple, a really simple concept, a really interesting villain. So I'm enjoying that so far. And I also watched 3 episodes of Batman animated series so far. And I'll probably watch some more later on. I think Jess watched 1 episode today as well.
I did watch 1 episode, and it was an excellent episode.
And it's tied into one of my favorite moments, so we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, and here's Ben with a very exciting comment, I think. What's up, gentlemen? Excited to hang out with you all this fine Saturday evening. Thank you, Ben. Excited to hang out with us. My wife is upstairs. She's not excited to hang out with me. She wants nothing to do with me, but we got Ben. That's cool.
Well, everybody in the chat sees you maybe once or twice a week. Your wife sees you what, like all day, every
24
day?
hours a day.
Right. So, I mean, I can understand that.
Don't you have a show to do? Go downstairs.
Is that what retirement is? You both reminding each other of tasks you need to accomplish? You both leave each other alone?
Well, it's especially weird because it's retirement during a quarantine.
Right.
So it's even more in your face time. Fortunately, we get along really well. And I think the quarantine sort of bonded us together a little bit even better, which is good because those first couple months of the quarantine, they really were they weren't going to pull you over on the road, but it felt like you really weren't supposed to leave the house except to, for exercise or to walk your dog. And so we really were together 24/7 for a couple of months there.
Right. And Hayden McGee asks, which one of you is the kid in the thumbnail? Well, since it's in color and not black and white, it's me.
Yeah. Mine would be a Polaroid.
Yours would be one of those pictures where the guy got behind the curtain and was like,
doesn't have a piece of glass somehow.
Yeah, that is me, and we'll be showing that off later on in our Batman Memories segment. We both have slideshows to show off.
Beyond Comics, great to finally catch this before the last 10 minutes. Good. I'm glad you got in here.
Yeah, I always feel bad for people who do that, like 5 minutes before the show's over. Oh, I'm so excited to make a live show. And it's like, well, we're almost done. Sorry.
Beyond also asked, can I get your thoughts on the new Legion omnibus to someone new to the series? I am also going to be new to that series, so I can't answer that question, but I'm going to try and read it and do a review of it as soon as it comes in. I don't think it's not really huge like the Green Arrow Omni. I think it's smaller, so I think I can knock it out in a couple of days and put a review up of it because I'm really interested in that period. I haven't read that period before. That is right when I gave up comics to go to college.
Have you read the Mark Waid Legion of Superheroes run that he did?
No.
Okay. I'm surprised because you love Mark Waid and the Legion.
I am just now finding out it exists.
I did hear Mark Waid say that was the one book he was surprised of his that didn't catch on. He says he thinks it was really good, but it just didn't catch on for some reason. He's not really 100% sure of why.
I'll have to look that up. Actually, I think 5 years later might be. Let's see. I went to college in '77, and I gave up on comics. I feel like about '75, and I think 5 years later takes place in the early '80s, but I'm not sure because I haven't read it. So
we seem to both have pretty similar college experiences. Whenever I went to college, I didn't read comics for probably 4 years.
Yeah,
and maybe 4 or 5 years. I didn't really get back into comics until I was married. And someone was talking about their first graphic novel was Court of Owls. That wasn't my first, but that was the run that got me back into comics. It was Court of Owls. I really devoured that Scott Snyder run. I also got really into American Vampire as well. But I was like 22 when that happened. So it took me, 23 probably. But yeah, so during college, I didn't read comics. I saw one guy post in the group saying, I just started college. How can I still read comics and have a schedule? And I was like, I don't know, just enjoy college, enjoy the experience. Like, read comics if you can, but it's more like you only get those 4 years to really have fun with your friends because after that, it's over. You can see your friends every once in a while, but it's a lot different, especially once you get married and have kids. Enjoy that college experience.
Yeah, and I never had time. I was put off by comics anyway. The Bronze Age, that right around that mid '70s era of the Bronze Age, especially Justice League. I just wasn't into. So I just stopped reading, and then I had no free time to read anything at all except for textbook stuff in college. And then I picked it, then I'll tell you in the show when I picked back up. It's part of the show. And Gary Sandberg, thank you for saying this. Hit the likes button. Yeah, if you guys could please hit the thumbs up button. It does something good for us in YouTube's algorithm. I don't know what it is, but it helps get us higher on the when people search for stuff, we pop up higher somehow when the likes button is hit a lot.
And I scrolled up a little bit. Blake Riley is telling us how he enjoyed his Batman day. He watched Over the Edge and Old Wounds, both of which are great episodes of the animated series. He's planning to watch one of my favorite DC animated movies, Under the Red Hood. That's fantastic.
I still haven't seen that.
Well, if you've read the comic, you know the whole story. But I think that the movie's actually better than the comic, and now it's more of a streamlined story. They kind of take the superfluous storylines out. And the one thing that really frustrates me about Under the Red Hood, I think I've talked about this before, the art is by Doug Mahnke, who I love. It's fantastic. But in the last issue, there's a random fill-in artist in the most important moments of the book.
Oh, yeah.
It ripped me out of the story. It was still good, but it was like, why couldn't they just give Doug Mahnke some extra time to do this? Have a random fill-in artist in the middle, not the last issue. That's the most important issue.
Yeah. Blake Riley also has this question. What do you guys think of Scott Snyder's Batman Zero Year?
Cool profile picture, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think, Jeff?
Sorry?
What do you think of Batman Zero Year by Scott Snyder?
I thought it was fine. I know some people... I feel like it might be a little divisive, but let me look. The 0 year comes right.
Wait, it's the retelling of the origin instead of year one, and then it's year zero or 0 year.
Secret City, Dark City. Yeah, no, I remember liking it. I mean, I haven't reread these since they came out in floppies. That was something New 52 that I followed in floppies, really hardcore. I remember looking forward to every Scott Snyder Batman, even when, he was gone and there was the big super heavy storyline. I thought it was interesting and different, and I didn't care.
Yeah, when Jim Gordon had like a size 28 waist.
Yeah. I was fine with it. I thought this is an interesting take on it. I don't... I liked it, so I don't know. What did you think of it?
I enjoyed his entire run. I think it was at the best in the beginning with Court of Owls and Death of the Family. I thought 0 year was good. Obviously, it can't hold a candle, in my opinion, to year one, and even Scott Snyder would say that. I think it was good. It probably went on a little bit too long, but I still enjoyed it. The art was fantastic by Greg Capullo.
Yeah.
I think that's when his art started ratcheting up to another level of excellence. And even the super heavy stuff and the stuff with Bloom, it wasn't my favorite of the run, but it was still solid. Yeah. I think a lot of people hate on that run way too much. I really like how Bruce Wayne goes back to being Batman. I thought that was a really interesting take where the Dionysium from Endgame messes up his brain. He's actually happy, and he has to get in that machine to reinstill those painful memories of Bruce Wayne to become Batman again. I thought that was such a really cool an interesting storyline of how Bruce becomes Batman again.
That's a totally interesting concept that I really dug.
So I enjoyed it. I mean, but in my estimation, his Black Mirror is always going to be the best Batman he's ever done.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's see, where else are we here?
True graphic novel is a good question for us about our favorite Batman Elseworlds stories.
The Long Halloween one? True Graphic Novels has been saying a lot of stuff.
Sorry. He says, what is your favorite Batman Elseworlds story? I would say Elseworlds is anything that's not in continuity. So I would say Batman Earth 1. We both love that.
Oh, yeah.
That's fantastic.
It has to be that. I love that.
Oh, in our first episode ever, we talked about overrated and underrated Batman books. A very underrated book that like almost nobody talks about anymore is Batman Year 100 by Paul Pope.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone needs that book. That's a fantastic book. I don't know if the deluxe is still in print, but the paperback's probably still available if it's not.
You know why I don't think about that book is because it's hidden behind a madman statue.
Okay.
Because right next to my I'm all unorganized, but like if you can see.
I think I can kind of see it.
Wait, where am I pointing?
By his head, right?
He's right behind there. There's Batman 66 Omnibus, and then there's right behind Madman is the Batman by Paul Pope, and then there's the Madman stuff. Wait, gosh darn it, this mirroring is so weird. The Madman stuff over here. So that's why I never think of it. He's hidden by Madman.
I think those are both good choices: Batman Earth 1 and Batman Year 100. Those
Yeah,
are both great books. How is Madman? Never read that book. Is it good?
Oh, it's fun. It's freaky. It's kinchy. It's groovy. It's wild.
Kinchy. I haven't heard that in a long time.
It's a word that he uses. It's a wild, fun, goofy romp. That's just a. Yeah, I think you either like it or you don't like it. I don't think there are people who are lukewarm on it. I happen to really like it a lot, just because I like his art and I have fun with the stories. Some people, I think, don't have the patience for the stories because they're goofy. And there are some people that don't like his art, and art's subjective, so I get that.
Jeez, I'd be hard pressed to imagine someone not liking Allred's art. He's fantastic.
There are people out there that don't like it. I love it.
And I couldn't believe in the Alex Ross episode where you said some people don't like his art. I was like, that's hard for me to believe. But
wait, what? You said that?
You said that.
That I didn't like it, or there's
you said some people don't like it.
Oh yeah.
I guess that not everyone can love every artist. So that's fine, but it's kind of hard to believe it too.
N-Man 40 telling me that Legion of Superheroes is 1,400 pages. Oh, I guess it's a lot thicker than I thought it was going to be. Okay, that review is going to take me a little longer than I thought.
What era is that from?
I think somebody said earlier that it was what I thought, like the early 80s. It's if it's early 80s, then it's not post-crisis. If it's post-crisis, it has to be later part of the 80s.
When was Crisis? Was that 85?
85.
Okay.
Yeah.
And people are talking about how Batman Red Rain's one of their favorite Elseworlds story. I'm just not a fan of Kelly Jones. I mean, his Batman looks like he couldn't cross the threshold of the door because his ears would hit the top of the door frame. Even like, I know we want to do a episode, not for this show. We want to do a whole review of all the Hill House comics, and one of the books is drawn by Kelly Jones. I don't think I'm going to buy that. I just don't like his art. I'll read it on Hoopla. I can't get into his art. But
he's tightened his art up a little bit for some things, so he's not all, 25-inch long fingers on everything. And
the cape takes up the whole page.
Yeah. So the last thing I read by him, I can't remember what it was, but it was a little more grounded, and it was I liked it more because I really did not like his Dead Man at all. Dead Man just looked ridiculously awful to me. So I'm willing to give him another chance. I'm really bummed out that Legion of Superheroes is 1,400 pages.
I just can't get an Omnis that big. It's so intimidating to even try to read it. It's just like you feel like you're making no progress.
Yeah. Oh, this guy's completely right. Streakazoid. Yeah, that's one of the greatest stories ever written.
That's the one that Jess was willing to talk to Azzarello about at a con, but not Batman Damned.
That was
imagine pulling the video of you dumping the Ripper on it and say, "Hey, look at this."
I think
hey, Brian, look.
It was probably within 2 weeks of that Instagram battle that I had after posting the picture of dumped root beer on it, and a Batman podcast took issue with it and got mad at me, and we had words. And then I see Azzarello 2 weeks later at the Baltimore Con, and I went up to him and started talking about, I loved Flashpoint, that Batman with Martha and everything. That was so great. And we had a great talk for 10 minutes, and I made sure I didn't say a thing about Batman Damned.
Elvis Parker is a good question for us.
Okay. What's the best way? What's the best run? Oh, what's the best run to start with Batman for someone who's only familiar with the cartoons and movies?
I
That,
always say the best reading order for someone who's new is year one should be the first thing that you read, and then Long Halloween and Dark Victory, because those are like year two and year three of Batman. And then I think you could even jump into Scott Snyder's run because that's very accessible, in my
yeah.
opinion. I think that's that was one of the things that really got me back into continuity. If you're a big fan of the cartoons, get the Batman Adventures comics. Those are drawn in the same style of the animated series and even by some of the same writers. So I think you might really enjoy that. It's some added stories in that universe. But if you want to get into actual main continuity or main runs, those are good places to start. Year one, Long Halloween, Dark Victory, and then Scott Snyder's run.
And you're getting some good suggestions too in there from the chat. The chat's giving you some good ideas also.
Is the Batman Omnibus by Jeff Loeb out of print? Someone's asking. That's his pain pill order.
Let's see.
Because Jess is not a big Tim Sale fan.
And yet somehow I ended up with what's that called again?
I think it's just Batman by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale.
Okay.
Yeah, someone's saying the Paul Dini omnibus might be a good place. I don't know if that's a good place to start. And I agree that if he's a cartoon fan, he'll like Paul Dini. That's a difficult one because that includes Heart of Hush. And to really understand Heart of Hush, you have to read Hush first.
Amazon still has it for substantially cheap, 40% off. That's usually a way to first to find out if it's just out of stock or out of print. So this thing's still in print, and there's still plenty of them that Amazon can offer you a 40% discount. So the Tim Sale, Jeff Loeb Batman Omnibus is still in print and cheap.
Bobby Keating is definitely a fan of our show who's watched for a number of episodes to get that to bring up that reference. He said Omar is cringing wherever he is because Taylor didn't refer to year two as the real year two. I refuse to ever read year two again. I've read it too many times. I've read it twice in my life. Once when I was 12 years old and I hated it. And then once when I was 29 years old to please Omar and I hated it. And I just don't think I would subject that book to anyone, not even on my worst enemies. Jess and I both didn't like that book at all.
No.
I'm so glad I hoopla'd it and didn't buy it.
Did I do that or do I own that?
I'm pretty sure you hoopla'd it.
I don't think I owned it.
Matthew Mongi asked, do you think Batman Black and White is good for new readers? Matthew, I would say go back to our Batman Black and White review earlier this year. Jess and I were both kind of cold on it. There's some really good stories, a lot of mediocre stories, and some real stinkers. You definitely can't read that omnibus. You can read it all the way through, but you'll really feel like you are through a slog in the middle of it. I would read it in chunks.
Yeah, like 3 to 4 stories at a time and then put it aside.
Jess loved that Neil Adams zombie Batman story. That was the highlight of the book for him. I remember you texting me being like, I don't know if I can make it through after this story.
Let's see.
Ben Uncles is scolding the chat for not giving us enough likes.
Yes, that means we're owed 24 likes. Come on, let's go. For shame, chat. And there's other people watching too. So other viewers out there, come on, give us the thumbs up. Let's see. Legion Omni is post-crisis and 5 years before the 0 Hour Legion get introduced. Okay, so that is I have no idea about that Legion at all then. I will be getting a complete education on that Legion then.
When is that coming out?
I think I feel like it might be next week or
so Omni Apocalypse Part 2?
Yeah, it is. As a matter of fact, it is. It's part of that next week where shoot, I had it here for a second. The September books.
Yeah, Jesse Christian said this Tuesday. So
This
I think you're right.
Okay, yeah. This is going to be a big a big week.
Well, it's really hard to know because IST will say they have certain things coming, but then you get on that day and it's like it's not on there. So you just kind of cross your fingers and hope the things that you want will be there. If you're buying from IST, that is.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they'll put on Killer Smile by this Tuesday because that's my next order day. I really want to read that book.
Here's a question. Dark Knight Detective and Caped Crusader worth growing through fully or just parts of it?
I've never read that, so Jeff's have to speak to that and not.
I don't know it either. Dark Knight Detective and Caped Crusader? I must not be thinking of the right books. I'm sure I must know them, but for some reason it's not clicking with me.
Can you give us the creators to let us know? That'd be more helpful. Maybe
Yeah,
spark our memories.
who wrote them? Is it
Ryan Blue Thunder says those are the Detective and Cape Crusader trade paperbacks immediately following Crisis. I never read those personally, so I can't speak to them. Sorry, guys.
Oh, those are the trade collections of post-Crisis Batman. Oh, okay. Crisis made me quit comics for a while. So anything right after the Crisis, I don't have a good knowledge of. So that's why I don't recognize them. I do remember the Jokerfish storyline by wasn't that Marshall Rogers where he had the Joker fish guns?
Yeah, and that's also an episode in Batman animated series, The Laughing Fish. Well, I don't know if we're talking about the same exact story, but there is a story called The Laughing Fish that's also in Batman animated series that's based on a comic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Yarde, I apologize. I'm not able to answer your question. Maybe the chat. It seems like the chat has better knowledge of that post-crisis era, because I didn't. I mean, I read Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns, and then a bunch of Vertigo stuff, but I avoided real superhero-y stuff at that time. So I don't have a good. I'm a fake fan.
And someone asked, "What are the best Batman omnis?"
Where was that question?
That was way up there. I just thought it was a good question.
Oh, what are the best Batman omnis?
We're getting a lot of good chat interaction right now, so I'm trying to keep track of everything.
Yeah, we haven't even started the show yet. Everybody's got really good questions.
I don't really have any Batman omnis. I mean, Scott Snyder's run is great. It's a shame that Volume 2 hasn't been solicited yet of that omni, which is concerning. And I also heard that the binding of that is kind of like a bear trap. And that's one of those omnis that's too big for me personally. But I would say that Paul Dini omni is definitely a must get. That's coming out this Tuesday if you don't have the trades. Jess and I aren't getting the omni because we both worked our butts off to get those trades because they're most of them out of print.
True.
I worked way too hard to get all those trades. I'm not going to give them up. And they also have some extra issues that won't be in the omnibus. But if you don't have those trades at Paul Dini, definitely get that omni. It's fantastic.
I think Batman and Robin by Tomasi.
Oh yeah,
omni.
The Morrison omnis for sure too.
Sorry,
the Morrison omnis.
The Morrison omnis. Superman Batman is an omni I love. That just came out. I'm one of the few people. I don't know that a lot of people like Batman Eternal as much as they like the regular run. I like Batman and Robin Eternal, and I wish they'd make an omni out of that. But Batman Eternal is something that I personally like, but I realize others don't.
There really aren't a ton of Batman omnis.
No,
you would think. Right. Gotham Central, I think that's out of print now, but that's another must get.
Yeah. Let's see what else.
Matthew Mongi says he's pretty excited for the Gail Simone Batgirl omni. I do want to get that.
Let's see. I've lost track. Where is that? Oh, here it is. Yeah, actually, I think I sold my Gail Simone book so I could get that omni. So it better come out.
Yeah, Matthew Monge says that Snyder Batman Omni was definitely tough to read. It hurt my hands keeping it open.
Oh, I'm just sticking with the hardcovers there.
Yeah, I'm just sticking with what I already have. If I can get some deluxe I wish they would do deluxe hardcovers of that run too. That would be fantastic. That would be my preferred format.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you. I think Tomasi's run was kind of overshadowed by Snyder's run while it was coming out. I think now people are realizing how great it really was. And I actually have a moment from his run as one of my favorite moments in my slideshow. So we'll be talking about that more later on.
Tomasi, people are agreeing with you on Tomasi. Paul Baker had a good point. I mainly didn't like how Batman Eternal handled a lot of the characters. That's fair.
I didn't really get into that story. I gave up really early because the weekly series I'm always hesitant to jump on because it's by multiple writers and artists. I like books that are handled by like a really central creative team. I think too many cooks in the kitchen doesn't really make a good final product.
At that point, I was really just into Batman, and I thought, okay, Batman every week, I'm in, and I just liked it. So.
Oh, and way at the top, don't even try to find it. Someone asked how the Batman 66 Omni was, and I think you have it, right?
Yeah, I do have it. Right.
I think you sold it and then you bought it, right?
It's right there behind
his fist.
Behind Madman, as a matter of fact.
I think you sold it and then you bought it back because you regretted it, right?
Yes, that's right. I sold it to Doug McAdams, I think. I read it. I did a review on it. I thought, I'm not going to read this again. And then as soon as I sold it, I regretted it. I was like, that book was so good. Jeff Parker was so funny, and these stories were so true to life to the characters and stuff. So I ended up buying it back.
Is it one of those books when you read it, you kind of like did Adam West and Burt Ward's voices in your head?
Yeah. And I don't usually do that. Usually everything is just a sort of a flat voice in my head. Even the women, right. I don't have any kind of affect for the women or anything in my head. But that Batman 66, I heard Cesar Romero's voice like every time the Joker spoke. And
did they draw his creepy mustache in?
Yeah, they did. Is it? Oh, this one's still sealed. But if you go to my Batman review, you can see it.
I like how you're surprised that it's still sealed.
Well, I had already read it once, so when it came back in, there was no reason for me to unseal it.
Zach, that's a great question. That was actually our first video we ever did.
This one?
This is for overhyped and underappreciated Batman books. That was one of our first videos we ever did. I think that was our first Baturdays in the Batcave. But I think some of the ones I talked about as being overhyped is that I think Hush is a great drawn book. It's not a greatly written book. I think it's definitely worthy of the hype for the art, but I think the story is overhyped. Underappreciated, I did talk about Year 100, which I already talked about, and the Paul Dini stuff. Another overhyped book. I thought White Knight was good. It wasn't as good as people said it was, in my opinion. I'm excited to get Curse of the White Knight to see if it's a little bit better than the first one.
I had heard from Ryan Sayce that he thought it was much better.
I mean, I love the art. It's worth it for the art for me. The story's not bad. It just wasn't. It didn't grab me as much as other people, as much as it grabbed other people. But I'm definitely willing to read the second one.
I don't buy stuff just for the art. I gotta have good story too. I
thought the story was good. It just wasn't as good as everyone said it was, in my opinion. I thought it was still worth the read.
The chat doesn't think anybody's going to be alive, especially me, by the time the Bronze Age Batman comes out.
That is the joke we always say, talking about the Bronze. Because I really want to read the Neil Adams stuff, the Denny O'Neil Neil Adams stuff, originally colored.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to read that stupid recoloring that Jess hates so much.
Or the re-inking. That's really aggravating, too.
And yeah, because it was re-inked by Neil Adams, who you say is not good at inking.
And now he's not.
Now he's not, right.
45 years ago, yeah, that was different. Sergio, I don't think I can recommend that unless you're a hardcore historian or a completist or old like me and who has an affinity for Golden Age Batman. It is really written and drawn, pretty rough, raw, pretty you can tell it's comic books in their infancy, and they didn't really know what they were doing. I remember liking those stories a lot as a kid, so I gravitate towards them now that they've been made accessible. But I don't know. I have a video on Golden Age Batman #1 that's out there. If you want to go to my channel, it's actually one of my more popular videos for some reason, but it's under reviews if you want to look up Golden Age Batman, and it'll give you an idea of what the art is like, and I'll tell you what the stories are like too. This was one of my first videos. So yeah, give that a try if you want to find out about Golden Age Batman.
And Jesse Christian says, read that Golden Age stuff for Bill Finger.
Well,
I loved that Bill Finger documentary on Hulu where it talks about how he was totally screwed over by Bob Kane. That was have you seen that, Jess?
I haven't. I've heard great things about it.
You need to watch it. It's on Hulu, so it's a great watch, and you feel so bad for that guy.
Oh
he got the shaft like Siegel and Schuster did with Superman.
Yeah, only his fellow creator gave it to him. True graphic novel. Has anyone heard of a story called Batman Europa? I have. I own it. I read it. I found it to be okay.
Is that Azzarello and Jim Lee? Or is it? I know Jim Lee did the art, right?
Yeah, it was. I don't know that I can put my hands on it right away. It was.
Let me see.
Yeah. Yeah, here it is.
Yeah, it looks like it's Azzarello and Jim Lee, and some other artists as well.
Yeah, the art is great. But I didn't find this to be one of Azzarello's best efforts.
He's very hit or miss for me.
I think he might be starting to be for me too. I don't know. I think I'd probably read this on Hoopla or get it from the library or something if you want to read it. It's worth reading, but I don't know that it's worth owning.
Yeah, Azzarello is not a name that it's an automatic buy for me. I will check things out on Hoopla and see if I want to get it or not, because I've been really hot or cold on his stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I have too recently. It's kind of a funky idea anyway, this whole story. And of course, I'm freaking sick of Joker too, so
yeah, you were up in the air with getting Killer Smile by Jeff Lemire, but I said it's Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino. Like, it has to at least be worth the buy. What a great team that is.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm gonna wait to. I may Hoopla that and then decide.
All right, it's up to you. It's your life.
Thank you.
Should we get started with the main topic, or do you want to keep going with questions? 40 minutes in.
We do have a lot of good questions. Thanks, chat.
This is probably the most fast and furious the chat's ever been. I can't even keep up with it. So thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Sergio's 18, but he really likes to know the beginning. Okay, I would definitely watch my video then. It gives you a really good overview and review of Golden Age Batman 1, and you'll be able to tell from that. So just go to my channel and look it up.
I know those Golden Age Omnis have a special place in your heart, Jess, but do you really think you're going to sit down with one of those anytime soon and actually open it and read it?
Perhaps.
Because you're always talking about how you want to cull your collection. I'm like, oh, just get rid of the Golden Age Omnis. You're never going to read them. You're like, no, they're too special to me. But I'm like, you're never actually going to read them. But it's your life. Do whatever you want.
All right, thank you. Here's what the problem was. I think this is what happened to Damn too. Europa was plagued by delays, then a change in art, totally lost all momentum. Have you guys read the last couple of glorious Batman issues by Tinian? I sure have been hearing a lot of good things about it. But we were having this discussion today, Taylor and I were, that they're releasing the first hardcover of his Batman run before the last hardcover of King's Run. So I mean, I'll get the Tinian hardcover, but I'm not going to start reading it until I'm done with King's Run. That's just, I mean, I can't do that. I don't know where things are going with King's Run, and then I have to know what happens, and then I can follow and do Tinian's Run. I think it's weird that they've taken so long to put out finish King's Run in deluxe hardcover. Like five should have been released 6 months ago and not July.
And their defense, I don't want to defend DC that much, but they did come out with the trades at least. So at least they did put it out because they changed their model. Their model used to be trades and then deluxe hardcover. Now they switch to standard hardcover or sometimes even a trade right away. So it looks like they're starting with just standard size hardcovers with Tinian's run like they did with Scott Snyder's run with New 52. So that seems to be their new strategy, and that's probably a word I shouldn't use for DC because that's too nice. Strategy isn't usually a part of their vocabulary. And Paul Baker, it's a good point. It's not an oversized hardcover. It's standard, but it's a lot of issues. It's over 200 pages. So at least it's a decent size.
Tinian's book?
Right, Tinian's book.
Okay.
But we should be reviewing the 5th deluxe of Tom King's run sometime soon because we both have it.
Yeah. Has anyone read Dark Knight, Dark City? I can't track that story down anywhere. Isn't that... That's... Oh. This might be out of print.
By Peter Milligan.
Yeah. This one?
Yeah, it looks like it's out of print. It's not. You can't even get it on... So you can get it for used at the least $54 on Amazon.
Oh, well, then I would try...
Probably cheaper on eBay.
I would try eBay, and I don't remember that this thing was... I thought it was fun and interesting, but it's not like you're finding something amazing. I certainly wouldn't pay $54 for this. It's a $17 book. I'd pay $17.50 for it, but I wouldn't pay more than that. And I like Peter Milligan. I mean, I even liked his issues of Red Lantern. But
I'm reading a Peter Milligan book right now. I'm in the middle of Britannia.
Oh, yeah. How are you doing with that?
I'm really enjoying it. I'm 5 issues in. I took a break because I wanted to read a Batman book on Batman Day. So I'll pick it back up tomorrow after I finish Gothic. I just felt bad if I didn't read a Batman comic on Batman Day. But I'm really enjoying it so far. Thank you for the recommendation.
Oh, good. I loved that book.
I mean, I really enjoy like ancient Roman stories, and then mixing it with the crime detective part element just as a knockout of the park for me. I really like it so far.
Awesome.
And it's a Valiant book that doesn't really have anything to do with the Valiant universe, so it's a good place to start. I really want to start getting into Valiant. There's just so many books, and so many of them are out of print, which is so annoying. So I'll at least stick with Britannia for now.
Yeah. And you got to read Dr. Mirage, too.
And that's by Greg Rucka's wife. And I was saying, if we can ever get, Greg Rucka said he was open to coming back. If we can get his wife to join him at some point, that'd be cool, too. Talk about working at comics as a couple. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, we could try and embarrass him and just say, so now that you're a better writer than your husband, like at the dinner table.
Greg Rucka doesn't seem like the kind of guy I want to embarrass.
No, he's a really nice guy.
He's a really nice guy, yeah. And Sergio, Jess and I both got out of the single issue game. Well, Jess does get variants, but he doesn't get single issues to read. I mean, I've heard this run's really good. If you are into single issues, go ahead. I just don't want to do singles anymore. It's a lot cheaper in the long run to do collected editions for me. I think books read a lot better. That's totally up to you. But I've heard a lot of good things about it. So it might be a good run to jump on if you want to get singles.
Yeah, I agree.
Have you been getting any of the variants from Tinian's run, Jess?
No, but I know some of them are really popular and expensive on eBay.
Especially of Punchline.
Yeah,
The new Harley Quinn for Joker. Now that Harley Quinn's no longer his sidekick.
right.
That's a creation of, I believe it's Jorge Jimenez and James Tinian. So that might be a really popular book to have. If she launches, it'll be really popular. If she kind of just crashes and burns,
Yeah, that's the
no one's gonna
question.
care.
That's the problem with variants, of course, is if they introduce a new character and it flops, then you're stuck with a variant that nobody cares about. But those issues, I believe, also have new character designs on some of the covers. The variants do, and some of those have been really expensive and popular on eBay. Like the one that of Batman where he looks like Mr. Freeze, sort of the blue one, the blue Batman cover.
I didn't like that costume at all.
Yeah,
It
I'm
was
just
weird.
using it as an example of
Right.
some of those things um, were popular for variant cover collectors. Sorry.
I am thinking of stopping at my LCS to see if he has any variants of Detective 1027, because that looks like a really interesting book. I know Riley did a video about it and he really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
That's a big monumental issue. I mean, I'll get it in hardcover, so maybe I won't get the single issue, but that was one I was thinking about getting. That's a big book, 144 pages. That's a
yeah.
lot of
I'd
material.
like to get that and read it, and then do a better review than Riley does.
I'll at least get the hardcover. Maybe we'll just review the hardcover at some point.
Eric W. I have read Old Guard by Rucka. I even got to see the movie finally this week, and I loved the movie. Uh, the Old Guard book is fantastic. I just got in Old Guard Volume 2. The Minister of Comics is holding out for a hardcover. He has.
But I read it. I read volume 2 on Hoopla, and it was great.
Yeah, okay.
Because
And
there's one more storyline at the end of the trade paperback. It says the old guard will return one final time. I forget what the final arc is called, but I'm hoping and expecting a hardcover so that can go sit next to Black Magic and Lazarus on my shelf. So I'm holding out with that hope. And if we get Greg Rucka on again, that's going to be one of my first questions. When are we getting an old guard hardcover?
I am impatient. I don't want to wait. As long as they exist, I want to get that story because Old Guard was great. I love the book. I can't wait to read Volume 2. And I'm glad that I saw the movie after I read the book because the movie has a couple of additions that are awesome, that were just really well thought out twists that I did that really added to the story a lot on the movie side. So I highly recommend Old Guard by Greg Rucka, Volume 1, and Taylor highly recommends 1 and 2.
And everyone just be hoping and praying for a hardcover for me and for the rest of you to enjoy.
Yeah, who cares?
Oh, come on, you jerk. You're just saying that because you don't want to upgrade, even though I'll eventually convince you to upgrade anyway.
I know.
You're gonna upgrade, so don't even try to act like you're not.
Damn it. Let's see. We probably should.
We're 15 minutes in and haven't even started the topic. But this is great. This has been a great interaction with the chat.
Yeah, the chat seems to be fine that we haven't started our topic. Let's see. The movie's called Old Guard.
Oh, and my dad's in the chat. Probably not. It's just a guy named Bob Brown. That's my dad's
Oh yeah,
name.
no, I know Bob Brown. Is that your dad's name?
Yeah, it's my dad's name.
No, yeah.
My grandfather's name, well, he passed away, is Charlie Brown. He was Charlie Brown before Charlie Brown even existed.
Oh,
wow!
wow.
So the original Charlie Brown.
Let's see. I think there could be a second Old Guard movie. I sure would like it if there was one.
Greg Rucka says he's hoping that they'll do a sequel, and they set it up in a way that there could be a sequel. Did you stay and watch the mid-credit scene after the end? There's a credit scene after the movie ends. I don't want to say it if you didn't watch it.
I don't think so.
It involved Booker talking to someone.
Did he drop a big bottle of booze and then go into his room
Yes.
and talk to someone?
Yes. So you
Then I
saw
did
that.
see it.
Okay, you did see it. I didn't want to ruin it for you.
Amazingly cool.
And a lot of those elements actually show up in Volume 2. So I think Greg Rucka kind of worked in some stuff he had for Volume 2 into the script of the movie.
Okay.
So that was interesting to kind of see it after that. I think they should make a sequel. It was one of Netflix's most popular movies that they've done. So I'm sure they will. Now is just a hard time to really get movies going and filming. But
yeah,
thankfully the Batman's back in production again after it shut down because Robert Pattinson tested positive for COVID. So I'm thankful that it's back to filming because that trailer is fantastic and I really want to see that movie.
Yeah, I do too. I always want to see it. I always want to see any Batman movie, except that one I didn't see with the Arnold Schwarzenegger in it.
Yeah, sorry, Matthew Monk. Your topic tonight isn't the fireside chat, even though that's what it's become.
I mean, it could be if you guys want to just keep talking for another half hour.
We did work hard on the slideshows, though.
We got set up.
We did work hard on our slideshows.
Oh my God, it took me 3 hours to put this slideshow together.
It didn't take me that long, but I did work on them.
Well, it took me a while to put this thing together. So why don't we just start?
Let's end the questions for right now. I'm sure we'll still do questions throughout the show. Ernie Ray has a really good question. Any thoughts on a favorite writer you'd like to see have a take on Batman or detective who's never had a shot at the character? How about Rick Remender? That'd be great. Rick Remender says he has no interest in ever coming back to mainstream comics, but that would be interesting. I think for me, I would love to see Jason Aaron tackle Batman.
Oh, interesting.
That would be fantastic.
Oh, or Donny Cates.
He was courted by DC, and they said, "Do you have any Batman ideas?" And he goes, "Yeah." And Dan DiDio said, "Well, can you tell us?" He goes, "Not for free." And then he just said that I have way too much stuff I want to do at Marvel first, but he definitely has plans at some point in his life. He's only in his mid-30s, so he'll get the Batman eventually. So yeah, Donny Cates and Jason Aaron, those are two guys I would love to see do a Batman story.
Here, let's stop taking questions. Oh, here's a good question. Well, you guys keep asking good questions. Okay, so we're gonna go to. Am I gonna go first?
Yeah, you can go first since you worked so hard on
it. This is Batman Day, so we decided to do memories and moments. So it's our favorite memories and then our favorite Batman moments. And let's see if I can do this right. Feel
free to ask questions. Still, we'll still answer questions.
Yeah, we'll still answer questions.
Yeah, Jesse Christian said that Cates had a 5-year plan for Batman. Wow, that'd be fantastic.
That would be. Okay, so this is what I started out on for my favorite memories. As a 7-year-old, I thought this was real. I thought that the show was amazing and a drama and exciting and colorful, and it was everything a 7-year-old could want. It was on twice a week, and it had lots of excitement to it. I had no idea until it came back in syndication and I was 13 years old. And my dad picked me up from school and I said, "Please hurry home. We've got to catch Batman. It's on at like 4 o'clock." And he goes, "Okay." We get home, I turn it on, and I am hugely disappointed by Batman 66. I'm like, what is this? The Batusi? Cesar Romero, he's got like is that a mustache under his white paint? And who are all these weird people? And why is this not as serious? Because all the 7 and 8-year-olds that I knew, we were taking it seriously. We were acting out the parts in the playground, and we were totally into it. And America was into it too. It was a big phenomena.
It lasted for 3 years. Is that how long it was?
3 years, yeah. It was really popular in year one. It was on twice a week, and then people got tired of it by 68, and it got down to once a week. They originally had it as a 1-hour show, but they thought that was too long, so that's why they broke it up into 2 half-hour shows on Wednesday and Thursday, ABC. And there's the Batmobile, which was cool.
That's still one of the coolest Batmobiles.
It really is.
That and the Tim Burton Batmobile are still my favorite.
How they had it coming out really fast, and the sign would drop, and the dust would fly, and he'd say atomic something turbines to speed and everything. I'm like, wow, this thing's like a rocket.
And they sped it up to make it look like it was going faster.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that till I was 13. I thought it was really going fast. But this helped get me into comics, like I think probably a lot of people, a lot of kids at that time. And it was a big part of my life as a little kid, and it helped get me into comics. So I really liked it. I can watch it now, and I like to see all the villains, because there were some really cool movie star, TV star villains like Milton Berle and stuff like that were real. Otto Preminger, and they were really cool. Some of the villains were less impressive than others. But I mean, look at Batgirl. Yowza.
Wasn't she a librarian?
Yeah, she was Commissioner Gordon's daughter. If I have my stories correct, the TV show asked DC Comics to create her, so they could add her in the 3rd season. And so the TV show had DC Comics create her, and they gave DC Comics direction on what that she was supposed to be a librarian and the daughter of Jim Gordon and stuff like that. And it was it was really I thought it was fun as a kid to have her, and then as an adult I was like, okay, Batgirl is the only thing I want to see on this episode now at all. Because Yvonne Craig was just amazing. And these I remember specifically. These were a huge craze. These were the bubblegum cards. And I remember these were extremely popular.
I remember that surfing episode of the show. Did Batman have like swim shorts over his costume?
That was the movie, I think.
Oh, that was the movie. Okay.
Yeah, where he had the bat shark repellent. The Joker's icy jest. So I remember these bat cards really well.
Do you actually have them in your collection or no?
I don't have them anymore. I did, but a really popular thing, and I can't explain this except to say there wasn't much for us to do in the 60s, I guess, as kids, but these rings were really popular, and you can still get them on eBay. These are bat rings that you get in a gumball machine, and nobody now would get their food out of a machine like a gumball machine. I remember we'd put 10 cents in and get a bunch of peanuts coming out of that chute, which had to be filthy. And in this COVID and bacteria, I would never do it, but you'd get these, there's the case that it would come in. And I remember specifically having this yellow glow in the dark bat ring that I would wear. And it was like my most precious commodity. As an 8-year-old, I thought I was bitching. And I just, I did not, I was just looking at some of the questions. I did not realize how campy it was until I got older, but that's okay. My next memory that was really good is Neil Adams starting to draw Batman. And if I recall correctly, this was one of the first issues that he did. I'm looking forward to his World's Finest. That will be, excuse me, there's already World's Finest 1 and 2, Silver Age Omnibus out. So in volume 3, they will have the Neil Adams run. And this is when I really discovered Neil Adams for myself, was in World's Finest. And first of all, if you can find this comic in good, in high, near mint, very fine, because it's red, solid red, this would show all the breaks. So if you can find this thing in really decent condition, that is a pickup, because of how that red is so hard to find without spine breaks all over the place. But Neil Adams' art was, I would say this is probably 1968. So this is another memory of mine as a little kid, was seeing his Batman and Superman and Supergirl and Batgirl on this in World's Finest. He did the art for a while, and then he started doing Batman, where he and Dennis O'Neil helped really sharpen up Batman and introduced Ra's al Ghul into, and this is one of the coolest covers ever.
That's a great cover.
Because when you're looking at it, you're thinking, who the heck is this guy? And who does he think he is? And how is this cover even produced? The green is so cool looking. And this was just such a beautiful cover to grab off the stands. This made Ra's al Ghul made a big difference in my perception of Batman and villains. He wasn't a jokey villain. He was completely serious about things. This was a darker Batman, and it was probably perfect timing for me because I was getting older and I wasn't into the Killer Moth gang or anymore.
Batman going to space for the 20 billionth time.
Yeah, Rainbow Batman, that kind of stuff. This was the kind of stuff I was interested in. And this was the reintroduction of Joker into the Bronze Age.
That's a great cover.
Yeah, this is a Neil Adams cover, and you can see 20 cents for the copy. I have
that the Joker's 5-Way Revenge or something. Is that something like that? Story's called?
Yeah, maybe. I think it is. This is something that I have in a safe deposit box. But this is and here's another great cover by
Batman with chest hair. The first superhero with chest hair.
Yeah, look at all that chest hair and arm hair, and he's got his cape on. I mean, he's got his mask on, but the cowl, but not his uniform, and that's just a really cool cover because you can't really tell where the sword is here. Is it in Batman, or is it like between his arm and the chest, stuck in the sand? What's going on here? But it's a classic Neil Adams cover, and the memory for me is seeing this on the newsstand and saying, I gotta own it. This has got to be a great story, which it was. And then my next favorite memories, let's see, I have some of these comics that I will show. These are my next favorite memories would be, these were the Carmine Infantino covers to Detective and Batman. He did an amazingly long run of Mystery in Space for Adam Strange and The Flash. And his artwork, to me, he's still probably my favorite artist, because this is what you'd see on this when you and I always talk about who's your Batman that we'll do as a show. This is my Batman. When we see these kinds of, oh, and then sometimes you'd get lucky and he'd do the interiors. The only interiors that he did, I think, are in this book, Tales of the Batman, Carmine Infantino, because that would be the big disappointment. You get a Carmine Infantino cover, and then you get a Joe Schlabotnik artist in the magazine and in the comic, and you'd be so disappointed because it'd be some really cool, it'd be some great cover like this, and you'd you'd open it up and it would be just mediocre art. But sometimes he would do the art inside and it would be great.
And Jesse Christian says that Infantino's a legend for giving us the yellow oval.
Right. That is the new look Batman right here that they introduced, where they put it right across his, they gave him a bullseye right across his heart.
Like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Look how many word balloons from that one cover. I mean, look how much dialogue there.
Oh, I know, and that's what I grew up with. So these comics now that have nothing on them, I'm sort of disappointed in them, because there'd be a whole story you'd have to get through just on the cover. It's like, look at this one. Robin's turning into a coffin, and Batman's fighting this weird outsider guy who turns out to be Alfred, and inside story of the outsider with all this wacky stuff going on. I loved it. And these covers were so great. I loved picking them up off the stands. Here's another one. This is the introducing Poison Ivy. Another one that's hard to find in good condition because of the red here. And this is one I sold and put into the health insurance account. I sold it last year. And here's a detective one, and you'll notice what they call the go-go checks at the top of these issues. That was the modern DC. All the issues had go-go checks on top of them. See, that's how you knew what era you're in for the Silver Age.
Paul Baker has a question that you can answer. I mean, I can't answer. You could probably answer. When did Luis Garcia Lopez come into Batman?
Boy, I am thinking that was in the 70s. I'm not. I have a feeling it was that period when I was in college and when I lost interest. It's a pure guess on my part. I mean, we can probably look on Google. I feel like it was probably 75-ish, Paul. I have his Superman book, but I don't have his Batman stuff. I do have a Tales of the Batman by Tim Sale. How did I end up with that? That's crazy.
You must have been on a pain pill again.
Here's some more interior art. This is interior art from it looks like it's one of Flash's villains. I think that's the Trickster or Weather Wizard. What's he doing? He's running out on a rainbow. So there might be Weather Wizard.
It's funny how much they thought you wanted to know people's thoughts back then in comics. You rarely ever see thought balloons in comics today, do you?
Oh my gosh, it's every thought, yeah.
Every thought that comes across their mind, you know about it back in the Silver Age.
And look at this cover. Like this, I think this cover is awesome with the green sparkly skeleton facing off with Batman, like got him cowering down there, and of course it's purple, so it's hard to find in good condition. And I've got this cover here in a big print from Mondo. So I just think these covers are something. Okay, it's Weather Wizard, yeah, because here's the cover where he was coming out of the Flash comic. Look how much is going on this cover. He's coming out of the Flash into Detective, and it's telling you all what's going on here. But you get Infantino art, and so it's awesome. Here's some more. To me, this was the greatest cover ever. Look at everything going on in this, and it's black, so it's impossible to find in good condition.
Did the TV show introduce the bat phone, or did the
I
comics?
think it did, yeah.
Okay.
I think it did. It definitely introduced the Shakespeare statue, the Shakespeare head. And then here's in my collection. This was like the second or third Batgirl. This is over my jukebox. This is my Batgirl shrine. Well, there's an Adam West signed photo that's over my jukebox.
That's cool.
And there's the first Batgirl. That is not in good shape, so we just stuck it in a frame. The one that's in really good shape is in my safe deposit box. And then here is the key to my collection.
Oh, nice.
This Mondo print of Von Craig. I don't know how I got it because
you somehow beat the bots.
Yeah, these things went fast. This was a whole series by this artist, and you had to choose, of course, just one because you're not going to get more than one. And I somehow got what I wanted. So those are my memories of Batman.
Okay, cool.
Do you want to go to your memories now, or do you want me to finish my moments?
We can go to my memories if we want. That we can keep the continuity going and see how.
Memories. Okay.
All of your memories were the 60s and the 70s. Mine jumps to the 90s.
Okay.
So let me see if I can. Hold on. Where'd that go? Okay, here we go. Sorry. Screen share. Okay. Can we see that? Can you see the picture, Jess? The screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're up.
Okay, cool. So this is me as a little kid. And I was talking to Jess about this before the show started. And Jess asked, do you still have this? I said, no. My one friend stepped on it and broke it in half. And I was 7 years old. And it was one of those friends that your parents make you hang out with. And so it made it even more annoying. But I used to wear that all the time. And that little Batarang there, you use that in the bathtub. And you could squirt it out the water. And it was so cool.
Oh, cool.
I really wish I had that for Sam right now. That would just be so awesome. But I really wish I had that. It was so much fun. And I discovered the animated series, which you talked about your version of Batman was Carmine Infantino. Mine was the Batman animated series. That was my Batman. I remember whenever I used to run home off the bus to go watch Batman at around like 3 or 4 o'clock. And every other day they'd show a different one. So one day it'd be Superman the animated series. The next day it'd be Batman. I used to just sprint home hoping it was Batman. And if it was Superman, I would still watch, but I was hoping it'd be Batman. I'll never forget those runs down the street once I got off the bus. And I used to play this game on my computer, Batman Activity Center. And it was so much fun. I was watching it on YouTube today, and it really brought me back. And the whole conceit of this computer game is that all the inmates have escaped from Arkham Asylum. You have to track them all down by looking up clues. There's a chemistry set. There's different word puzzles, all this different stuff. I used to play this game for hours and hours. It was so much fun. If you gathered enough clues on this little back computer down here, you would find a villain. Then you would see Batman sweep in and jump on Two-Face and drag him to Arkham Asylum. It was so much fun. I really wish I could find that game right now and play it. But my computers don't have CDs ports anymore, so I have to go buy one. I want to play this game, so I probably will never do it.
CD-ROMs, that's funny.
Yes, that was so much fun. This came out in 1996, and I played it whenever I was like 6 or 7. So many hours of entertainment. And these are some of the action figures I have from the animated series, Jess. These are some of the ones I remember.
Ooh,
I loved that Clayface one.
Infrared Batman, what's that about?
You could shoot those discs out of the top. It was so much fun. Of course, I lost all the discs and everything. I still have Clayface. And I still have Man Bat at my parents' house. So I should probably go get that and put it on my shelf.
You definitely should.
And I didn't realize, Jess, until I looked these up, they're made by Kenner. And I'm sure you know all about Kenner back in the day with Star Wars toys and things like that.
Oh yeah.
I really wish I had these mint on card. That would be really cool. But as a kid, I wanted to play with it for obvious reasons and not just leave it in the box.
Man, what's he doing in being infrared?
And here's the funny thing, Jess. A lot of these toys had nothing to do with the actual show. There never was an infrared Batman on Batman the Animated Series. They just made it because they wanted kids to buy them.
Oh.
I mean, that's how toys always are. They just make up stuff because they want kids to buy them.
Yeah, Streakazoid saying he had infrared Batman, and he says it's the reason he even knows what infrared is.
There was an episode where Batman goes blind, and he creates this headset with infrared so he can see. That has nothing to do with this toy. He doesn't even have a headset on this toy. This is totally just made up just to get kids to buy it, but I still bought it. I didn't care. It was so much fun.
I just want to tell Dylan Byrne, I'm sorry I can't answer your question about the Joker War because I haven't been reading it. Have you been reading Joker War?
I haven't been reading any of Tinian's stuff. I'm waiting for the hardcover. The first hardcover is supposed to come out next month. I think Joker War comes out in February in hardcover.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting for, Dylan. I just want to make sure you didn't think I was blowing your question off. It's just that we haven't read it.
A lot of people have been asking us about that. That's a really popular run right now. I'm just a trade waiter, so I don't know anything about it really. I just heard it's really good. I love James Tinian's detective run, so imagining I'll like it.
I may have to do what you did and finish King on Hoopla and then start up with Tinian in hardcover.
We should probably just do an episode soon, just focusing on the end of Tom King's run. We could read the 5th hardcover and just read the other trades, and then we can do a Tinian review at some point. Because, I mean, those are going to be popular reviews, I think, that people want to hear our opinions about.
Okay. All right. That's good.
All right. So my next one is Sam, Bat Sam. And I've passed on, hopefully, my love for Batman to Bat Sam. This is when he's like a couple months old. He has so much more Batman stuff than I do. It's awesome. This is him when he's really young. We were hoping he'll, continue to sleep with that Batman as he gets older. And this is him in his other Batman outfit. This is him when he's really young before he got really chunky. We call him a big meatball now. He eats like crazy. He doesn't want baby food anymore, Jess. He just wants he just wants human food. And we're pretty close. We're trying to get to the point where we're gonna start weaning him off, the bottle and stuff.
Yeah.
And he actually had his first ice cream today. We went out for ice cream and he loved it. He was smiling the biggest smile. He had so much fun. He just shovels food down. He won't stop. You have to make him stop. He'll just keep eating.
Probably doesn't even need the bottle anymore then if he's shoveling down real food.
Right. So, yeah. So we're in the process of getting him to that point. If I try to give him a pouch or if I try to give him baby food, he just pushes it away. He wants nothing to do with it. And I don't blame him. I've tasted it. It's terrible. So I definitely understand that. And here's him in his Batmobile that we have. There's Murdoch in the background.
I love Murdoch.
And you see that one picture he's wearing sunglasses? It looks like his eyes are crazy. That's just my head in the reflection of the sunglasses. Oh. It makes it look like his eyes are crazy. But he really isn't into that Batmobile anymore. He just wants to walk with his walker now. He's so close to walking on his own, and that Batman Batmobile doesn't let him go fast enough. So we might have to put that down in the basement soon.
Oh, he wants to run.
And that's him with his baby food a couple of months ago. He is not that happy anymore when you try to give him baby food, that's for sure. And then here's him recently. That one on the far right is actually him today for Batman Day. I told Kate, make sure you put him in a Batman shirt. Right. And here's us going to the toy store. Every Friday is the day that I watch him. My wife's at work. It's one of my days off, so I watch him while she's at work. And we usually go to the mall and walk around. And we get Chick-fil-A and we go to this really cool toy store. According to their website, they have the most toys of any toy store in Pennsylvania.
Oh, really?
And they have a ton of collectibles that you and Tyler would love to go there. If you ever visit up, if you ever happen to be in Pittsburgh someday, Jess, we'll have to go there. But yeah, Sam loves going in there with me. We love to look around. And I actually finally got a toy there yesterday.
Yeah.
I got that armored Batman.
Nice.
It was only $18. It was really worth it. And that was him.
Look at Sam's face. What a crushing blow when he finds out that's not for him.
And that, to be honest, I did that for a picture, and then I took it away so we could leave, and he started getting upset because he wanted to play with it. And it came with a Doomsday head that I have no idea what to do with. I don't think you collect those multiverse DC figures, do you, Jess?
I only have a couple of Batman ones. I have Batgirl, Nightwing, the Batman Who Laughs, and Hellbat. That's all I have.
Okay, so I'll just get rid of the Doomsday head because I don't have any interest in building a Doomsday Build-A-Figure because I don't like that character at all.
Doomsday I think this is pre McFarlane, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the main reason why I like this figure is because a lot of times DC sculpts aren't good, but you can't really see his face.
Yeah.
So I thought it looked pretty good. And that was Sam at Target a couple months ago whenever I gave him a Batman toy just to get a picture for the memory.
Oh, all right.
And so that's all I have for memories.
Okay. Let's answer this. Is a good question from Dylan Byrne. What do you think of Henry Cavill signing up for 3 Superman movies? I think it's awesome. I think he's a great Superman, and I would love it. And Phoenix potentially doing a Joker 2 and 3. I thought he was adamant that he was doing 1 only, and that was it.
I really doubt that he's going to come back, especially after winning the Academy Award. It's like, what's the point of coming back? I didn't love the Joker movie. I thought it was okay. I thought it was definitely overhyped, but his performance was great. Jess hasn't seen it yet, I don't think.
No. I want to.
To be honest, To be honest, you might want to wait until you get over your Joker fatigue. I thought it was fine. I thought if it wasn't for that main performance, the movie was just okay. He definitely elevated the movie, but it's definitely a ripoff of Taxi Driver and King of Comedy, those Martin Scorsese movies. Those movies did it a lot better, in my opinion. So I just didn't see the point. I guess just to make an R-rated Joker movie. I don't know. I just wasn't a massive fan of it.
Well, I just got a note that said we have a guest that may be actually showing up. So,
oh wow!
So we should probably get going on our moments. My favorite moments won't take as long as my memories did.
Okay, if you want to jump to yours, then we'll go to mine.
Yeah, I'll make sure that my moments are shorter than my memories were. Okay, let's see. There's Batgirl moments. This moment pretty much changed my comic book life and a lot of other people. Dark Knight Returns. I don't need to go into. I mean, just you and I have talked about this endlessly. Everybody knows about this book endlessly, but it did definitely. It was a major turning point in my life as far as Batman and comic books in general went. So it was a major moment for me, showing me the boundaries could be strongly pushed outward with the right writer. And of course, that was Frank Miller the first time I really read him.
And do you still have those single issues?
No, I sold those for the health fund.
Okay. Did you have them signed and CGC'd?
I had them CGC'd, but I did not have them signed.
How much do those go for in really good condition, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't mind you asking at all. I just don't remember.
Okay. They're not like thousands and thousands of dollars.
No.
They're like a couple $100 maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they were pretty readily available. They made a lot of them.
Yeah. I don't think that it was, and to tell you the truth, I think I only had number 1 CGC'd.
Okay.
Because 2, 3, and 4, it was just 1 or 2 that were really popular or got big money. Maybe $200.
That's still good though.
Or something.
Well, I love the covers of 1 and 4 particularly. Yeah. Those are that first one's a classic with him silhouetted against the lightning bolt. That's fantastic. I love that cover.
Yeah.
I just want them to come out with a deluxe hardcover of just Dark Knight Returns. Everything always includes the crap fest of Strikes Again. Right. I'm holding out. I have the paperback, but I want a hardcover of that. It's so annoying.
Here's a good question. Comic classic. That is a good question. What is the best way to collect Neil Adams Batman? The answer is there isn't a good way yet. You have to sort of piecemeal it together. Brave, and first of all, you can't go out and get his omnibus if you want to see real Neil Adams art. And by that, I mean, everybody knows already that I hate his re-inked, recolored Batman in his book. It ruins it. So you have to try and piecemeal put it together, and that the only way you can do it right now, until we get to the Bronze Age Batman Omnis, which is going to be 2029, is
I'll make sure to open them up and show them off at your funeral, Jess.
yeah, shove them into my casket. Is to get his demons, his the Demon Trilogy stuff.
Yeah, that came out a couple months ago, didn't it?
Yeah, that's for. Okay, wait a sec. They have Tales of I think it's Tales of the Demon. Let me make sure.
And Dylan Byrne asked, what do we think about the DC Fandom event? We actually did a whole episode about that, I think a month ago. So go back and check out that video. And Zach asked, what's our favorite Batman villain and favorite Robin? We did an episode about our favorite villains. My personal favorite villain, that's difficult. I feel like I want to say the Joker, but that's, again, he's so overdone right now. I think Two-Face is really interesting. I think his relationship with Batman, especially because him and Bruce Wayne were friends, I would say my non-Joker answer would be Two-Face. And my favorite Robin is by far Damian. Because I view Dick Grayson more as Nightwing than Robin. Jason Todd really annoys me. And I'm not a huge fan of 90s comics, so I didn't have a lot of exposure to Tim Drake until recently. I just really love the Damian and his father dynamic.
I would say favorite Batman villain, I'll say, is Poison Ivy, and favorite Robin is Tim Drake. But getting back to it, then you have to get the Brave and Bold omnibus to get some Neil Adams Batman. And that's the way you have to do it. You have to find some 70s Batman collection. If they had, you know what they need? They need a Tales of the Batman Denny O'Neil. And then you get some Neil Adams. But I'm trying to think, I don't other than Brave and Bold and the Ra's al Ghul stuff, I don't know that there is a way to perfectly get it. And I'm sorry about that. Let's see, where was I? Okay, so this changed my life. Blah, blah, blah. This scene in Batman Begins renewed my enthusiasm for movie Batman, for live action Batman.
Not Val Kilmer in Batman Forever?
Sorry?
Not Val Kilmer in Batman Forever?
Holy rusted metal. This part to me was just really badass, where Carmine Falcone's in his car filling the shotgun with trying to get it full of shotgun pellets, and he's yelling, "Who the hell are you?" And then just all you see is Batman just yanking him up through the car roof. "I'm Batman." And I was just like, this is the greatest Batman event of my life. I love it. So I was just so into this movie because it made it so real for me that it was monumental. I just dug it so much. And then, well, spoilers, if you haven't read Knights of Vengeance, Flashpoint, Batman, this is the greatest Batman story ever written, in my opinion, because it has this twist in it. and if you should, I won't tell you what it is if you haven't read it. If you have read it, you know what the twist is.
Well, you can see it right there.
Yeah, you can see it right there.
So spoiler alert.
Context there. But this was a huge moment for me because I thought it was so well written by Azzarello, and I just thought it was great.
I need to bust out that and Broken City and read those again. I love both. I think Knights of Vengeance is much better, but I'm of the rare group that actually like Broken City.
I like it too. And then here are two moments for me that were great, I thought, from Tom King's run. These were moments that made Batman real and the story really more compelling and interesting, and made Batman seem more grounded and lifelike. And this is the scene where they're sitting there, Catwoman and her sister are sitting there, and Catwoman's sister said, what does she say? Now I've got it. I thought I had the book with me. Okay, wait a sec. She questions whether or not Batman can live without his misery.
I think it's in volume 3, right?
It's in volume 4.
Oh, volume 4.
Yeah. She questions if Batman can live without his misery.
And that's kind of the whole point of King's run, is asking that question. Can Batman be Batman if he's still happy?
Yeah. And she says, all Catwoman says is right down here on the panel, what? Like she didn't, right here, she just says, what? It dawns on her that he can't be happy and still be Batman, still be the Batman that the city needs, still be the Batman that he needs to be. Here it is. I can't believe that's him, the Batman. Not what you thought. It's insanity, blah, blah, blah. He's never been like this. Like what? And her sister says, happy. He always seemed to need his misery, you know? Like it was how he did what he did. And Catwoman just says, what? And I just thought that was an amazing moment that Catwoman figures out that he needs his misery to be able to keep saving the city time after time. And then my last moment was, of course, my favorite book ever is Batman 3. This is when Poison Ivy takes over. And this humanizes Batman again, where he and Selina have just knocked out the Flash, and Poison Ivy's taken over the world. And Selina asks him, Bruce Wayne, a series of questions, and he says, I don't know. I don't know. And because we're used to a Batman that knows the answer to everything immediately, right out of the box, right out of the bat, right out of the box, right out of everything. And you're supposed to, he says, everyone? I don't know. How? I don't know. How can, and if the League, our families, all of them, how can we? I don't know. And he is a genuine person there, a genuine guy that doesn't know how they're going to solve their problems immediately. And I just thought that was a remarkable, that's why I like Tom King's run, is because I thought it was a remarkable series of events where he humanized Batman. He was still the cool comic character, but he humanized Batman to the point where he was relatable. And those were just the two moments. I loved the relationship between Catwoman and Batman, or Selina and Bruce, if you will. And those are two of the reasons why.
Highlight Dylan's comment that just popped up. Tom King is the worst Batman writer. Batman can be happy and still be Batman. Just look at his friendship with the Justice League and the Bat family. I would just ask you, have you finished his run? Because a lot of people dropped off on issue 50 with the wedding. And I think you really need to go to all the way to the end of 85 to see that conclude and see how everything pays off. Because I think it does do the opposite and say Batman can be happy and be Batman. But you're more than welcome to hate Tom King. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying I do think that he explores that idea and says that, yes, he can be Batman and be happy. I don't want to spoil the ending. I'm just saying I think that he does come to that conclusion. But again, you're more than welcome to hate him if you like it. It's perfectly fine. So I'll try to jump on my moments before our potential guest jumps in. So if that happens.
I haven't seen him yet.
Our potential guest will just jump in like Kramer. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So I was born 1990. The year before I was born, Batman 89 came out, which really created that fertile ground of me growing up with Batman because that created all the different frenzy for Batman toys, memorabilia, clothes. I'm sure you remember all that, Jess.
Oh, the cereal I remember mostly.
And I remember watching this movie, and the ending just always sticks in my mind, that awesome Danny Elfman score as they scroll up the building. It's like, dun, 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 dun. I don't want to show the music because we'll get copyright strike. We don't want to do that again. It's already happened once.
Sure, everybody recognizes that as the Batman.
And then you see him silhouetted against that. It's just so awesome. That moment is forever like cemented in my mind. I remember watching as a little kid and just like fist pumping, just loving that. That's my favorite part of that movie. And there are so many memorable moments in that movie. In the beginning, whenever he is taking out those robbers on the roof, and he says, "Who are you?" "I'm Batman." It's just so awesome. It's really similar to the moment you were just talking about from Batman Begins, Jess. But I was watching this as like a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, and that just blew my mind. It was fantastic. I love that movie, and it really sticks in my mind. And that really created my love for Batman the Animated Series. If you know me at all, I've watched these shows at all, you know that this is my favorite incarnation of Batman. This is my favorite television show of all time. I actually have a video of me showing Sam the night he got back from the hospital an episode of Batman Animated Series. Obviously, he wasn't really watching it. It was more for me. This show. I just love that show so much. It's such a part of who I am. And that intro, that theme song, that 1 minute long clip, it doesn't even say Batman at all, but you know exactly who it is. It's like a little mini movie. That's a fantastic way to get you pumped for the show. I just love that introduction. And my favorite episode of the animated series, which Jess watched today because I don't want to spoil it for him, is Almost Got Him by Paul Dini. And Jess, what did you think of this episode?
Great collage.
Thank you. What did you think of this episode, Jess?
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I adored it. I just thought I could watch this episode over and over again.
And we shouldn't be surprised because it's by Paul Dini, who wrote all the best episodes of this show. And the main conceit is that you go into a bar where Poison Ivy, Joker, Two-Face, Killer Croc, and Penguin are playing a game of poker. And I love the beginning. It really shows you what you need to know about these characters. The Joker pulls an ace out of his sleeve. He's cheating. Two-Face has half and half for his creamer. The Two-Face dichotomy. The Penguin has like a really fancy teacup and tea kettle. It just shows you who these characters are right off the bat. And they're all sharing their stories of Almost Got Him. Who got the closest to killing Batman? And they all tell these over-the-top stories. I did this, and then he got away. And then Killer Croc just says, I had him, cornered in a quarry, and then I threw a rock at him. And then all four of them just stare at him like this. Just blank face, feeling so sorry for him. Like, oh, man, you're so lame. And then Killer Croc goes, it was a big rock. I love that. It turns out the entire time that Batman is actually Killer Croc, and he was just trying to figure out where Joker had Catwoman stored. And there's this awesome moment where the light over top of them gets hit, and it goes back, and then you see Batman, you see Killer Croc in shadow, and you see Batman's silhouette.
Yeah.
And that moment is so cool. And it turns out all the people in the bar are actually cops, and they all point their guns at them. And that was a fantastic moment. I know Jess really likes the ending where Batman actually saves Catwoman, and she tries to make an advance on him, like, hey, let's make this relationship work. And Batman says, sorry, I can't do it. and then he flies away, and she says, "Almost got him."
Yeah.
That was a perfect capstone to this episode. I can't think of any other episode I like more than this one. It's so fantastic.
I can see why you like it so much. It really has style. It has a lot of cool stuff in it.
And it wasn't just like a linear story. It goes back and forth. It was really cool to see all these different stories of how Batman used his wit to escape these villains.
Yeah.
Like, I love when he used Two-Face's coin against him. Like, he used it to cut his ropes, and he was tied to that giant penny. That was just so cool. And I think that this story is just the best that the animated series has to offer. If you want to show an episode to someone who's never seen it, show them this episode.
Yeah.
Would you say this is your favorite episode so far?
Yeah, and I'm kind of bummed about that because it's so far from where I am right now. I'm like 40 episodes away from where it is. But it makes me hopeful that there are lots more episodes that are as good as this. I have enjoyed 80% of what I watched a lot, and just merely was okay with maybe 20%. And I've only finished the first disc. And I just saw Sub-Zero or
Heart of Ice.
What was it? Heart of Ice?
Sub-Zero is the movie that is at the end of the collection.
Oh, okay. Right.
And the thing about the show is that there's no like horrible bad episodes. There's just some episodes that are just okay.
Yeah.
Fine, which is pretty good for a show of this many episodes.
Yeah, and it turns out I like one of the most hated episodes.
And stay tuned for our episode about the animated series, and you'll find out what that episode is.
Are you done sharing?
I'm still going.
Oh.
Mask of the Phantasm, one of my favorite Batman movies, and I love the moment where in this movie you actually go back in time and see how Bruce became Batman, how he actually meets a woman and falls in love with her, and he goes to his parents' gravesite and is begging them, "Please let me out of this oath, let me out of this vow that I made to you." And I have it right there. I didn't count on being happy, and that scene always gets me. It almost makes me tear up every time that I watch it. Just as like just picturing my son coming to my gravesite and saying that, and just like his parents don't want him to be Batman. They didn't ask him to be Batman. He's put this vow on himself, but this poor guy is just begging his parents to let him out of this vow that he made. That was such a powerful moment. Do you remember that?
Like my friendship with T-Bone there. I didn't count on being so happy with my friendship with T-Bone. It gives me a reason to live.
What's up, T-Lar?
Hello, guys. Bane here. Bane here. I wanted to say happy Batman Day, stupid Batman.
He called me the other day and did that Bane voice. Have you seen Harley Quinn yet, Tyler?
I have seen an episode now.
Yes, I have. I have now seen it.
Oh, you have?
Yes, I have now seen it. Ryan Sace made me watch it after I did that Bane voice, and he was like, "Man,
it was so spot on.
Watch that. You got to watch that show." So I have seen it. Happy Batman Day, guys!
Happy Batman Day!
Happy to see both of you. You guys are like my two best friends.
I was just telling everybody, Tyler, that you were my yes man who got me to buy this figure.
Yes, you did it. I'm so happy. This is a truly great day. Happy Batman Day.
I sent Tyler that picture of Sam with the toy, and he's like, "Look how happy you made your son." I said, "Yeah, he'll be really happy when he finds out he can just look at it and never touch it, and never play with it."
Oh man! But you know what? My daughter's now about to be 6 in 2 weeks. And she has just recently, within the last 2 to 3 weeks, taken a big interest in my action figures. Oh. So she likes to come and just like look at them, and she'll ask me if we can like move them around a little bit and change them up. And she's like, "Tell me about this one and tell me about this one." She wants to know everybody's origin story about everybody, and it's awesome. I feel like a complete expert at everything. It makes me feel so good about myself. You know so much about this stuff.
Dude, what do you tell her about the 30 anonymous ninja action figures that you've got?
Jess, they're not anonymous. Well, that's Bob, and that's Stan, and that's Marcia. They all have names, personalities, and backstories. I'm like, Bob is a middle-aged accountant. He's slowly depressed because he just does taxes all day. Wait, okay, hold on. This is getting a little too real. I should be more creative with my backstories I come up with. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
We knew you weren't at the pumpkin patch. You were just hanging out with your ninjas.
Pumpkin patch with my ninjas.
Oh, okay. Well, we wanted Tyler to show up to talk about his Summer of DC reading report. Do you mind if I get through my favorite Batman moments?
Absolutely. I was enjoying it. Kramer.
I know. I wish I had that GIF queued up to show everybody. If you bursting in like Kramer, that would have been fantastic.
Is it GIF or GIF?
Who
It's
cares?
Jeff. It's Jeff.
It's GIF?
Yeah, it's 100% Jeff. Yeah.
It's like it's do whatever you want it to be. Who cares?
What,
Tyler, you're a big fan of Mask of the Phantasm, aren't you?
Oh yeah, great movie.
But
Great
your
film.
favorite is Return of the Joker, right?
Yeah, the Batman Beyond film, Return of the Joker, is it's actually in my top 3 favorite Batman films of like ever. Anything with Batman is that film.
Jess will watch Batman Beyond and Return of the Joker in 2030.
Yeah,
I'm getting there.
that hurts me. I'm rewatching Batman Beyond actually, and it's fantastic.
I love that Blu-ray set. I'm really excited about Superman animated series being announced for Blu-ray next August.
Yes.
I'll have all the shows. I'll have Justice League Unlimited, Batman, Batman Beyond, Superman. I can't wait for that.
It's gonna be so good, dude.
Yes. All right. So next, what do I have next? Batman Year One. My favorite moment from Batman Year One, where Batman bursts the wall of all these corrupt Gotham officials.
Oh yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've eaten well.
So good.
You've eaten Gotham's wealth, its spirit. Your feast is nearly over. From this moment on, none of you is safe. And Kevin Smith tried to ruin it for everybody by saying that Batman peed himself when he blew that wall. But we'll all just ignore that.
Yeah.
And Jess's favorite book, Cacophony or Widening Gyre, whichever it was.
Frickin' guy.
I've never seen the animated movie. Have you seen it, Tyler?
I have. It's also excellent. It is really worth watching.
I heard that the main guy who was Jim Gordon in Gotham wasn't the best Batman, but has Bryan Cranston as Jim Gordon, so that has to be good.
I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I only saw it once, but I very much, I actually really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the Dark Knight animated films as well.
Jess needs to watch The Dark Knight Returns. That was one of the best animated movies ever. That was fantastic.
Totally agree.
Add it to your ever-growing list, Jess.
Do I need to, how do I get the Justice League movies?
The Justice League cartoons?
Yeah.
They're all on Blu-ray. You can get them on Amazon or
Is
Best
there
Buy.
a special set or something, or do I just get the
No, there's 2 seasons of the original Justice League cartoon for Blu-ray. Then there's a whole set for Justice League Unlimited. It has the whole series in one container.
Do you have DC Universe?
No.
Okay, because they're also on there to stream, I believe.
But DC Universe is going to be collapsing, and they're just going to be doing comics. All that stuff's going to be going over to HBO Max. So
I'm very disappointed in that.
I knew
Mainly
it was
because
going to happen. That's
I don't
why
have
never
it
bought
yet. I agree. It was definitely bound to happen. Like the writing was on the wall, but it's a bummer because I don't want to have to pay for HBO Max and DC Universe. I like having it all on DC Universe.
The good thing is that my parents get it for free, and so I get to sign into their account. So I get it for free.
That doesn't sound good for me.
Wait, yeah. Why don't I get it for free?
How come? Maybe we can your parents hook us up?
I don't think so.
Can
It comes with their TV subscription with the cable provider that they have, and so I get to sign into their account, and so I get to watch it for free.
Hey, you lucky duck.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So my next moment, I think it's from The Dark Knight Returns. It's not a moment that people really point to, but I always laugh really hard whenever I read it, and it's kind of a wish fulfillment for us who get tired of the Joker. When the Joker dies and Batman says, "I waste 1 second with a goodbye," and spits on the Joker's dead corpse. I just love that moment. It's like so un-Batman, but it's so funny. I laugh every single time. It's so awesome. My other favorite moment, we already talked about this a lot with Jess talking about Dark Knight Returns, is the fight with Superman at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Batman v Superman, that fight stunk. This Dark Knight Returns movie, the animated movie, was fantastic. That fight scene was ridiculous. It was so much better than the live action movie. It's embarrassing for Zack Snyder. But I really love this scene. I love at the end where Superman's at Batman's funeral and he hears his heartbeat, because there you see his heartbeat
So
dying.
good.
And then he looks at Carrie Kelly and he winks at her and walks away. I love this book. It's one of my top 5 favorite Batman books.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments. I obviously like it because I got an action figure of it.
Yeah, you did.
So I told Tyler and Jess that I was only gonna get 2 action figures, but I definitely need that Grim Knight action figure that's coming out and the Knights of Vengeance Flashpoint Batman. So
Yeah.
Ooh, I have to get that myself.
yeah, so
Okay, we should stop talking about those figures and just move on to something else.
Tyler is really sticking to his guns of only having 6-inch figures, but he needs to get these 7-inch. He needs that Hellbat that's back there.
It does look so
And
good.
Jess has it too. Jess, doesn't he need that?
Oh, Hellbat?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's not a matter of wanting it, Tyler. It's that you need it to survive.
Yeah.
I'm really starting to feel it, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. The more that this line produces in terms of cool Batman figures for suits that I don't have, the more pressure I feel from my own desire to get it and to throw caution to the wind.
You want all those.
Stories you can tell Evie about it.
Yeah, it's true.
Your daughter's begging you to get all these.
She really wants me to. I can feel it. She'd be like, "Tell me about this Batman." I'd be like, "Well, this Batman's crazy. He became the Joker and killed a bunch of kids."
She would love that. I don't
Have a
know her,
good
but I
night,
guess she would. All right, my next moment is from Batman R.I.P. Grant Morrison's run is hit or miss for me. R.I.P. is a very strange story, but this moment from R.I.P. is fantastic, where Batman is buried underground. I love that panel where it says Batman thinks of everything, and he walks through how hard it is to be buried underground with 600 pounds of dirt on top of you, all these elements going against you. It's hard, but it's not impossible. And he just climbs out of the grave. That scene is so awesome. It's always showing us how Batman's always prepared. Batman always has contingency plans. He can get out of any situation no matter what it is. If you ever ask, who would win in a fight, Batman or fill in the blank, it's always Batman. Batman can beat anyone because he is prepared, because he's willing to do whatever it takes, and he has the training and he has the willingness to beat them. And I just love this scene from Batman R.I.P. So good. And then one of my favorite runs of all time is Batman and Robin by Tomasi, which Tyler needs to get to.
It's literally potentially next on my DC read through. It's up between that and Nightfall, and I'm not.
Oh gosh!
Get out of
that's not even a question.
What the hell? Don't read that.
That's like whenever you guys took a break from your TMNT readathon to do X-Force.
Hey, I liked X-Force. I like
X-Force. Fun.
That was like whenever someone was asking, should I read Ben Reilly or Gotham Central next? And Tyler was like, Ben Reilly. And
I said Ben Reilly.
Don't listen to him. Read Gotham Central.
I haven't read Gotham Central to my own defense.
Well, Tyler, I'm sorry to spoil this moment for you.
Okay, I'm just going to take the ear things out. So you talk, and I'll put it back in when it goes to the next slide.
All right, sounds good. So Damian dies in Batman Incorporated by Grant Morrison. I'm sure we all know about this, but at this point, we also know that he's going to come back. It's comics. They're going to come back. So I'm not trying to spoil it too much for you, but come on, he's going to come back. So Batman has this long trial of trying to get Damian back. He ends up having to go to Apocalypse and go toe-to-toe with Darkseid with a Hellbat suit. And I love that Hellbat suit. Obviously, I had the figure. And I love that moment where they finally bring Damian back and him and Bruce just hug. And that just really hits me as a father to a son. That moment just made me cry whenever I read it. Any moment with sons in any comics now hit me in a much different way. So that's why this moment's one of my favorites. And so, Tyler, you can come back.
How many more moments do you have here?
This is my last one.
Is your year of moments?
Well, first of all, Jess, your memories was like a 30-minute long slide.
Oh, he said it. He said it.
I'm twice as old as you, so I have twice as many memories.
Well,
so for those of you who've watched any of our reviews recently or in the past year, you know that I've been really advertising this book to death. Batman Mythology by Peter Tomasi is one of my top 5 favorite books. And the ending, Tyler, if you haven't read it, I don't want to ruin it for you. You want to take your headset out again. If you haven't read it, just pause it for a second. It's only going to take me like 20 seconds to explain this. Batman's going up against this unknown enemy, but it turns out he's in a simulation that he put himself in every year to prepare himself to be the hero that Gotham needs him to be. And the enemy ends up being himself as a child. And he has to once again bury that child within himself to be Batman. And I just love this page where where he's talking to his younger self. Everything has a price, and that price was you, Bruce. He's talking to the young Bruce, and the young Bruce says, I can honestly say that knowing how many men, women, and children we've saved over the years, that price was worth it and continues to be. And the older Bruce says, all those dark years, I still wish we could have had a chance to be a kid a little longer. And the kid says, it's okay. So many other children have gotten to be children because we didn't. And he has to bury that young child within himself again, just reminding us of why Batman is the hero that we love, that he continually has to die to that part of himself as a child. So that was a fantastic book. Tyler, you have to read that book too.
Where can I read that book?
It's Batman Detective Comics Mythology.
Is it a deluxe?
No, it's a standard size hardcover. It's the beginning of Tomasi's detective run. You don't have to read anything past that. It's like a good standalone story. It's one of my top 5 favorite Batman books of all time.
Say the name one more time?
Batman Detective Comics Mythology by Tomasi. That was fantastic.
That's high praise from you.
And Jess really enjoyed. It wasn't top 5 for Jess, but he really enjoyed it too.
Well, I loved it. I thought it was great. Okay. I haven't enjoyed the follow-up books as much, but I love mythology.
And that's why I said it's a good standalone. You don't have to read beyond that. It's a good standalone story.
Could I share my favorite Batman moment really quick?
Sure.
On National Batman Day, international, I guess.
Where's your
national or international?
National. I don't know. Where's your slideshow?
Oh, hold on. Let me cue it up. This is me in Batman diapers. That's where it all started.
We had that. We had Bat Sam like in diapers, bat diapers.
See, it's because it's because Sam has a dad who loves him. My dad just put me in regular diapers. What does that mean, Dad? What does that even mean?
I hope Mr. Blunt's not watching right now.
Years of therapy.
You're shaming him.
Years of therapy. So, Batman. I grew up with Batman, the Batman 66 show, the show from Jess's shirt. As a young child, we had those on VHS that had been recorded off the TV, and I just watched those nonstop. Loved them. I also had a few Super Friends Batman and other friends action figures in a briefcase that I still have to this day that holds some action figures from when I was a child. That spurred my love for Batman. It really blossomed with Batman the Animated Series, as did a lot of people of our generation. Batman the Animated Series exploded my love for Batman. I just thought it was so cool for all the reasons that Taylor said earlier. We won't get back into that. And that continued on pretty much nonstop ever since. Batman Beyond, Batman's appearance in all of the Justice League cartoons, and then from then on, the individual Batman films, and of course, Batman comics. So I got into comics in the 4th grade. My best friend at the time, Oliver Hodge, was like, dude, you got to go check this comic book out. I got it from the Dollar Tree. It's called Daredevil, The Man Without Fear by Frank Miller. They have issues 1 through 6 for $1 at the Dollar Tree. And so my mom went and picked them up for me. And that just like totally threw me into the world of comics. I was absolutely into all of comics all the way through high school, and then took a break and then came back in my adult life. But in high school was when I really started to get into comics and go to the comic book store every week. Every Wednesday became a big deal for me to go get new comics. And it's hilarious because I look back on that time in my life. I had a job, but obviously I lived with my parents and I had really no expenses. So all the money I made was just my money to just spend. And so I set myself like a $50 limit per week.
For ninjas.
At the comic book store. For ninjas and comics. And I've thought so many times as an adult, like, man, what a huge budget that was. Like, as an adult, my budget wasn't big enough for a long time to have $50 a week at the comic book store. Are you kidding me? 16-year-old Tyler had no clue how good he had it. But at that time, Jim Lee had been announced to be drawing Batman. And it's, of course, Hush that everybody knows and either loves or hates. But for me at the time, it was such an incredible book because I would go pick it up and then me and my friends would read it and we would all talk about it and try to figure out who Hush was. So it's this big mystery at the time. You know, when you read it now, you're reading in obviously a collected edition form. So you got the whole story and you just go from issue to issue. But when that story came out, it was month to month. And if there was any delay, sometimes it was 6 weeks. And so me and my friends were all racking our brains trying to figure out who Hush was. And at that time, in
It seems pretty obvious though who it was.
well, to you, maybe.
I
Gee.
didn't figure it out.
So at that time in comics, there was a saying, and it was the only people who stay dead are Bucky and Uncle Ben and Jason Todd. Those are the three people that we would always say, like, those people will never come back. Like, those are the people who they will just never bring back because for various reasons. So
And 2 of them have come back.
right. Well, that's the hilarious thing is obviously 2 of them have come back. And when I got the issue in Hush, spoiler alert for people who haven't read it, when I got the issue where Clayface pretends to be Jason Todd, who has come back to life, but at the end of the issue, he takes off the mask and reveals he's Jason Todd. You don't know that it's Clayface at the end of the issue where he reveals himself. Dude, I lost my mind. I thought this is the greatest thing I've ever read. This is the single coolest book. The coolest moment is by my favorite artist, who's Jim Lee, who did X-Men, which I loved. And I bought like 7 copies of that book, like so many copies. Because I was like, Jason Todd came back. This is going to be worth so much money. This is so awesome. And obviously it wasn't Jason Todd, but that reaction from the fans is what caused Jason Todd eventually to be brought back. And obviously they've done like a bunch of retconning and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a really convoluted retcon too.
It really is.
Jumped in and fought for a little bit.
Right. It's
came back. Yeah.
such a terrible retcon, but the moment stands as just like a really impactful moment to me. And it really was culminated by like the height of my comic book collecting and singles, how much fun I had with my friends, and how much I loved Jim Lee and Batman as a character, all in that one single moment. So that was my favorite Batman moment. It's been all downhill ever since. I mean, I'm getting ready to read Nightfall for Pete's sake.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
No.
You really shouldn't do that.
Hmm.
So, Tyler, you've been on a Summer of DC readathon. Now it's become the Year of DC. What's been your favorite and maybe least favorite books that you've read so far?
So I started out the Summer of DC with the intent of jumping back in. It really had truly been since the days of those $50 a week at the comic book store on singles that I had read a lot of DC. Like back then, I had a big budget for singles. So I was, reading pretty much everything that came out. And since my re-entry as an adult into collecting, I've primarily been Marvel. And there's a lot of DC I hadn't read. So I really wanted to sit down and give DC a fair shake. I like a lot of their characters. I've enjoyed almost every animated DC film that's come out, Hush excluded. But every other DC film has been really good. And I've always enjoyed the characters. So I really wanted to take a deep dive into DC. And I have a long way to go. I think I've probably gotten, I bet you I've gotten 20 omnibus, if not more, to read. Like, I mean, I have jumped headfirst in with my eyes and not really my brain. So it's kind of like
you have to get that Dini omnibus coming out this Tuesday because that has Heart of Hush. Have you read Heart of Hush?
No.
That's much better in my opinion than Hush itself.
Really?
It's by Paul Dini. It's a follow-up. Okay. It explains his motivations because in Hush you don't really understand why he did what we did. It kind of but it really delves into his backstory, and it's really good. You really need that omnibus.
That omnibus is coming out this Tuesday?
Yes, you need that. If you don't have all right, good.
Done. Already done. You completely sold me on it.
You're easier to talk into buying stuff than I am.
Dude, it's the summer of George. I mean, DC. Okay?
This is the dream team of yes men. Who
it really is.
Each other.
We're like the enablers.
The 3 yes amigos.
Omnidogs enablers.
I love Omnidogs Enablers Anonymous.
There's worse things to enable people to do. We're not that bad.
That's right. So all of that, I jumped headfirst into DC. I asked for recommendations of what people thought I should read. And I had read a lot of the heavy hitters, like, some Green Lantern by Johns and Aquaman. There was a number of books that I had already read just over the course of being a comic book reader. And especially because a lot of the omnibus that people love seem to be from that early 2000s era, early to mid 2000s when I was collecting singles. So I had read a lot of that in singles, but I jumped in. I've got about 20 omnibus. I've read about 7, I think. Trying to remember. So I read 7 this summer, which for me was actually pretty good.
That's a lot.
Given that I'm not the most diligent reader and I go in and out of phases in my hobbies pretty easily. I found that consistently, I was, until I got super busy with work this fall, I was waking up every day, putting on a video game vinyl and reading 1 to 2 issues every day. And that was awesome. It really set my day right. I had a lot of fun.
Nice.
And it was something, a consistent way I could read in the mornings before like everyone was asleep. It was just really nice. So here are the books I've read. I'll say the book name, and then I'll kind of give you my overall impression, just a real quick impression. I started with the book that I posted a picture of 4 books. I posted He-Man, Death of Superman, Batman by Snyder, and Batman and Robin. And the one book that everyone said not to read was Death of Superman. So I started with Death of Superman.
Oh gosh.
Did I tell you that?
Because I'm a glutton in pain. Jess actually hooked me up with Death of Superman. I think you hooked me up with that basically in lieu of all of my TMNT royalties that we've got coming in.
In light of what you just revealed, Tyler, don't read the Paul Dini omnibus.
Okay, good.
Don't read it. Whatever you do,
okay,
avoid it. Don't read it.
So that's going to be my first one, naturally. So I started with Death of Superman. I actually found the first half of that to be a terrible slog and did not enjoy it at all because it was all Justice League of America characters I'd never heard of. And I don't even remember their names, like Diamond and Bloodbath, and I don't know their names. I don't know, Fire and Ice.
Sounds like Image characters.
Wind. Yeah. It felt like Image characters. They were all just trash. But I'm sorry, if someone loves those characters, I'm sorry. It's probably like your favorite character. You're like, Ice was born on my birthday, and I love her or him. Can't remember. But it got much better when it was all about Superman. I actually I ended up enjoying it overall. It was a good book. I did not regret reading it. Then I read He-Man omnibus, which was amazing. Cannot recommend that omnibus enough. If you like He-Man or have any interest in He-Man, it did what the TMNT books have done for Turtles. So it's a retelling or possibly a continuation of the He-Man story, and it's awesome. As a guy who collected He-Man action figures for about 5 years because he found them on liquidation at a store. I don't remember what the store was, but they were all $10 a pop. That led me to a dark He-Man collection, a dark hole of He-Man collecting where I got Castle Grayskull and a bunch of other cool stuff and eventually sold them all. But I had a lot of love for He-Man. So that was cool. Then I read Snyder's Batman, which I absolutely adored. Now it's only volume 1. So I don't know how the run ends. Obviously, I'm assuming they're going to come out with volume 2 at some point, hopefully.
I hope so.
But the first volume was great. I thought it was really fun. I thought he wrote Batman really well. I enjoyed I guess that was the beginning of the New 52, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I thought the timeline stuff was kind of wonky. Like with how Batman had been Batman for like 5 years, but also had been through like 3 Robins. And
he had his own son who was like 12 years old.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So like all of that didn't really make sense, but I love the run. I thought it was great. I just pretended like the New 52 hadn't happened. Fourth World by Jack Kirby.
You read that?
That was a dense book that I...
Jess's face right now. Someone's had a picture of that. That's
so, 1,500 pages.
So I didn't read the whole thing.
Oh,
I didn't read the whole thing. I read the high parts and I just looked at the pretty pictures. Like in all honesty, it was definitely a Silver Age book that had a lot of cool moments and was kind of a slog at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But I really just got it for the art and its impact on comics. So I wanted to be familiar with the stories, read some of the high points. But really, I just got it because I like the art and Jack Kirby and all that. So that's not one I would highly recommend unless you find yourself in that situation, because it wasn't like, again, I'm sure someone's like, nah, that's my favorite book. I love that book. But like, nah, that's not going to appeal to most people, I don't feel like.
That absolutely looks really nice, too, that they just came out with. I think Jess has it.
It does look good.
Yeah.
So then I read Wonder Woman by Perez. I've always wanted to read Wonder Woman, and I just never have gotten around to it. I felt like, I need to prove I'm not sexist, right? So like I had to buy all 3 volumes. So I jumped in. I bought all the volumes of Wonder Woman, and I read the first one, And it was actually my favorite DC book I've read to date.
That's
Like
good.
maybe not to date, but in my top 3 favorite of all time. And it was my favorite book I've read over the summer of DC. 9.5 out of 10. I wouldn't say obsessed, but I'm extremely into Greek mythology because I just find it really interesting and cool. And the way that Perez organically wove Greek mythology into Wonder Woman's origin and how it didn't feel like over the top, and it also didn't feel like a lot of narrative exposition where they're just telling you, like, all of the characters were characters in the story. Like, you had all these different Greek gods and goddesses as characters in the story. I found it extremely refreshing. The book really read like a Wonder Woman Year One to me. It was like when she first leaves Themyscira and she's interacting with the world. And at that time, it's like the 80s. So it's definitely a timepiece a little bit, but I absolutely loved the book. Could not get enough of it. The second I finished reading it out, I wanted to start the next one, but I don't usually read back to back to back of the same character. I usually skip around and then circle back and do volume 2s and things like that. So that was Wonder Woman. I read then I read Harley Quinn.
Here we go.
Yeah, baby, how much did you love her? Let's hear it.
I feel so bad saying this.
I already know you didn't like
Just get the words out, son.
I just really didn't like her. I did not really. I mean, okay. It's not that I disliked her. I feel like reading Harley Quinn was like watching an episode of The Big Bang Theory. Yeah, that's a Kaylee Cuoco reference. Reading Harley Quinn was like watching an episode of The Big Bang Theory. You watch it and you think, it's some moments that were kind of funny. I'll never think about it again. And I have no desire to watch the next episode. But
Just his face.
But then Ryan made me watch the Harley Quinn animated series. And I actually really, really liked her character in that series. And that made me actually like the book a lot more. And so because of that, I ordered volume 2. So I'm going to give volume 2 a shot. I'm going to read it. And I truly think because of her characterization in the animated series, I'm going to enjoy volume 2 a lot more than volume 1.
I can see that.
So we'll see. I'm sorry to crush your dreams, Jess. I feel so bad.
You give him hope now. You're going to read it more.
Yeah, but I'm definitely going to read. I mean, it's on its way. It's been lost to the sands of time at UPS somewhere, probably circling the country.
If we had to choose between the two, I like the TV show more than I like the comic book.
Yeah.
I love the comic book, but I absolutely worship the television show.
I think season 2, episode 5, it starts with this like really meta making fun of nerddom.
Yeah.
The Snyder cut and talking about.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen season 2. Is it good?
Yeah.
It's so good.
I was laughing so hard. My wife is in the room and she thinks the show's funny, but whenever it gets to DC humor, she doesn't get it. I was laughing so hard. Why are you laughing? I'm like, you wouldn't understand. You have to be like a hardcore nerd to understand what they're even talking about right now. But it was so funny.
Yeah, I loved the episode that really got me, because the first episode I thought was just okay, but every episode got a little better. But the episode where Robin is trying to be Harley's nemesis, I literally could not stop laughing the whole time. From Robin claiming he was her nemesis and her trying to like say no, but also she felt like she couldn't kill a kid, to Superman showing up, like when they held Lois Lane hostage and Superman shows up and Robin shows up and he's like, oh, look at the little guy. Yeah, let's leave it to him. And everyone's just mocking Harley, and like, it was great.
And Hayden makes a good point. They just announced season 3 yesterday, I believe, or maybe today. I can't remember which. So I'm excited about that.
Extremely exciting. That I was kind of ticked off because I finally started watching it, and then I found out that it hadn't been renewed for another season, and I was like, really? Why did I start this? But it was great. So that made me like Harley Quinn a lot more. And then finally, I've rounded out the reading with Grayson, and I'm not quite through with it, but I really like it. Nightwing is my favorite DC character, but this was something totally different, and I absolutely love it. I mean, if I thought that they were totally doing away with the character of Nightwing for this, I would hate it. But because I know it was just a temporary thing, I can enjoy it as such. And I really like it. Like seeing him as a spy, I just really like the character. So like anything they throw him in and write him to character, I like. And it was such a different setting. I've got do you guys remember the game GoldenEye for Nintendo 64?
How can I not remember that? That was my childhood.
Thank you. Thank you. So there's a group who did an orchestra version of that, and I have it on vinyl. And I like to listen to the orchestrated version of the GoldenEye soundtrack while reading Grayson, and it's just extremely spy-esque. And it fits so well. It makes me like the book even more.
That's awesome.
I've got, I think, one story arc left in there, but super solid.
So T-Bone, you're going to read Batman and Robin next and not Nightfall.
So that's definitely, those are my two choices. Those are definitely, or I could read Morrison's Batman.
I don't, I think
that's a bigger commitment. That's 3 Omnis. The thing is, though, you already know what happens to a particular character because that happens in Morrison's run. But since you already know what happens, I think you can read Batman and Robin and be fine because the Morrison run is a 3 Omni commitment. So I would jump in with 1 Omni as opposed to 3.
Okay. So I'm either going to read Nightfall or Batman and Robin. Totally. We're all on the same page here. I like it.
Well, T-Bone, you're a part of our longest episode ever.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me join in. I know I probably extended it an extra 30 minutes. Sorry about that, but I appreciate you letting me get in.
That is fine. I appreciate your being on. I actually have to get going because I have a Omni Bros live Patreon show I am supposed to be on 18 minutes ago. So this has been epic. We've had a ton of good questions in the chat, lots of good chatters asking lots of good questions. And we had a lot of fun doing our favorite moments and memories. I enjoyed that a lot. And then we had our special guest star, T-Bone.
Woo-hoo! Thanks for letting me come on, guys.
Of course. Happy Batman Day, everybody.
Happy Batman Day to everybody. And thank you for tuning in. Please give us a like if you can. Please subscribe to the channel and feel free to leave a comment. We always respond to comments, and don't be afraid to be a dick about something. You can go ahead and call me out. It's all right.
Let us know what your favorite moments and memories are in the comments if you weren't able to watch live. We'd love to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. Streakazoid, thank you for saying that. He says, great show, guys. So
thanks, dude.
Thank you for chatting. Yeah, thank you, chatters. Thank you to people who are watching. Thank you to Minister of Comics and T-Bone. And peace and love. Peace and love.
# Year of DC.